Welcome to the Parker County Co-op training for Frontline eStar. Today we're going to be looking at the responsibility of a teacher when preparing for an annual ARD. So we're going to start off by logging in to Frontline or eStar. When you log in, on your left-hand side, you will see this light bulb. Go ahead and click on it. This light bulb is going to bring up 5 applications that you will have access to. The 2 most common that you will work in the most will be ARD forms and progress reports. We're going to start in ARD forms today. Whenever I click on ARD forms, it brings up your list of students on your campus. As you look here, you're going to see there's 2 different types of record status. There's an active file and a draft file. An active file is the current IEP for your student. The draft is what is going to be proposed. So your diagnostician will open up a draft a couple weeks to 3 weeks before the annual ARD is due so that you can work in it. So you just need to be aware that there's 2 different types of records, and you need to make sure that you're working in the correct one. So when we're preparing for an annual ARD, you will do most of your work in the draft. So we're going to go ahead and click on this draft and open it up. It's going to bring us to our purpose statement. We are working on this child's IEP, so we're going to click that first one. And it's going to bring you to the student information page. Our first area that we're going to look at is going to be our PLAAFP. So that's going to be screen number 9, development of IEP and transitions. Bring that screen up here. At the co-op, we use a chart. All teachers are expected to use this chart for their PLAAFP, or their present levels of academic and achievement functional performance. We put this PLAAFP in the other box. So all these reading, speech, so forth, we do not use those boxes. We only use the other box. Your diagnostician could put the chart in there for you whenever they create the draft, or they could allow you to do that. Now, you will be sent, or you do have at this point, a document that has all of the PLAAFP charts in it. And so we're going to take a look at that. So this blank document looks like this, that you will receive or already have received. Within this one document, there are 3 different PLAAFP charts. And so the first PLAAFP chart we're going to talk about is at the bottom. This PLAAFP chart is for your pre-K or your early childhood teachers that follow the pre-K guidelines. And so this PLAAFP chart will be the one that you need to make sure you use when you are going to an annual ARD for one of your students. The top 2 are exactly the same, except for we have reading and writing split. So if you have a student that has reading and writing class split, you're going to make sure you want to use the one that addresses both reading and writing. If you have a student that just has ELA, then you're going to use the ELA chart. So if your diagnostician does not paste that in there for you, what you could do is you're going to go ahead and highlight whichever chart you need. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this one. I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go back to my eStar. I'm going to click on the other box. It looks like a blank piece of paper. I'm just going to click on that. Okay. When I click on it, I'm going to go ahead and paste that chart in. So as you see, I pasted it in. And then as you're preparing, you can just type it in here. So I can say, is great. I can talk about what we're going to do over here, accommodations, and so forth. If I could spell. So you can type in that information there as you prepare it. So you'll want to make sure to hit save when you type things in. Another suggestion to be used is to go ahead when you're preparing for a student is to make sure that you could copy that chart over into a blank Word document. I'll show you here. Let me share this with you. So we copied over into a blank Word document, and then I could fill it out in this Word or a Google document. Go ahead and fill out everything I need in this one document and have it for that student. And once you are finished filling it out and have all your information, you can go ahead and highlight it and copy it. And then we could go back to our eSped screen. I'm going to go ahead and click on that other box again, and I'm going to take this out. I'm going to paste the chart I just copied, and it's all completed. So you could do it several different ways and make sure that you get it in there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the save button. And so my PLAAFP chart is in there. We will go over how to fill out the PLAAFP chart. We will go over how to write goals, how to do transition in a different training. This training is simply to help you know where to put it and how to navigate through Frontline or eStar. And so that's our first area that you need to fill out for every annual ARD that you do is the PLAAFP. The next area is going to be our measurable goals. And so that's going to be number 14, measurable annual goals. So when we bring this up, we're going to add a goal. So we're going to hit this add goal right here. All right. And this, you have to have a goal number. So for right now, I'm just going to put number 1, and then you have to put the dates. So on our date, let's just say that today is our annual ARD. So if today is June the 28th, or let's just say today's June the 14th, and we had our annual ARD today. At the co-op, for the most part, we do not waive the 5 days, and so the IEP will start 5 days later. So if we have it on the 14th, our IEP will go into effect on the 21st. So I'm going to put the 21st, right? And then our ending date is 1 year later and 1 day less. So if we have it on June the 14th of 2021, then our ending is going to be June the 13th of 2022. Okay. When you do these goals and you write them, you're going to want to put, these are proposed. So you're going to put proposed goals here, because you are responsible for sending these goals home at least 5 days before the ARD to the parents. You need to put a language of delivery, which is English. The goal focus. So if it's a language arts, a reading goal, we're going to put that. So reading, we're going to put the grade level. So if this is 3rd grade, we'll put 3rd grade. Okay. And then for the goal, again, what I do is I usually take that Word document that I've created, the PLAAFP in, and I do my goals in that as well. So I'll kind of show you what I do here. So here's that same document where I've done the PLAAFP, and I will write my goals in the same Word document, and then I will highlight the goal for reading. Oops, let me go back. Sorry. Okay, I will highlight and copy the goal for reading. And I'm going to go back to my eSped, eStar, and I'm going to paste in my goal. So as you see here, I pasted in the goal for reading. The interpreter is always going to be the special ed teacher, or it could be a special ed teacher and a related service provider such as speech or OT or PT or the special ed counselor. Your methods of evaluation, as you can see here, do not choose observation. So you can choose these ones that you think you're going to be able to collect your data on. So it could be work samples, it could be teacher reports feedback, it could be teacher made tests. And then our how often are we going to report progress is right here. So we do quarterly, so you're going to make sure that says quarterly. Okay. And then that is our goal. We're going to hit save. So as you can see here, our goal is going to be saved there. Now let's go back and just look at this. The only time you have to do objectives is if the student is a STAR Alt 2 student. If the student is a STAR Alt 2 student, then you have to do objectives. And we'll get into how to write objectives and what that looks like again in a different training, but I just want to show you how to put them in there now. So to create an objective, you're going to hit create new objective. You have to have 2 objectives for STAR Alt. So what we do here is I like to put code 1 here, and then we're going to put our objective, and I'm just going to copy the same one just for time's sake down here. I can go in and show you what that looks like, different, how we write those. But this is where you would put that first objective, and we're going to hit save. And so as you scroll back down, you're going to see it's right there. So we have to have 2. So we're going to go here. We're going to do code 2. This is going to be our second objective. We would copy it in, save, and as you can see, we'd have 2 objectives. And then we would hit this save button here. So again, you only have to have objectives for students that are taking STAR Alt 2. If it's not a STAR Alt 2 student, then you don't have to have objectives. So let's go ahead and do one more. We're going to add another goal. Okay, we're just going to call this 2. We would make sure our dates were the same. So we said that today is the 14th, so it would start on the 21st. It's going to end 1 year later and 1 day sooner, so the 13th. We're going to do proposed. English is our language. Let's say this one's going to be math. I'm going to say 3rd, 4th grade. Okay, and again, I will go back to my Word document, and I'm going to copy my math goal for Mickey Mouse. So here's my math goal. I'm going to copy it. And I'll go back to eStar. And I'm going to paste that goal for my math right there. So my implementer is going to be my special education teacher. My methods of evaluation is going to be teacher-made tests. I'm going to look at some work samples. I'm going to look at teacher feedback. And I'm going to report progress quarterly. Okay? And so I'm going to go ahead and hit that save button. So as you see, I have my goals here, 2 goals, and again, only objectives if the student is taking STAR Alt. So the next area we're going to look at is our accommodations, how to put in accommodations for students. And so that's going to be on page 16, accommodation list. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is make sure that you have all your subjects listed right here. Okay, so we have bundles here already pre-made. So let's just say we're going to elementary. It's going to give you some pre-made bundles. Okay, and we can work on what that looks like for each school district and what that we need to be in there. So we have our pre-made. We have our topics here. We have all these different areas, and you're just going to have to kind of go and play with where they are. So let's just look at adapt instruction. So let's say that this student might need, let's see, this student might need preview sheets. So we're going to click on it and add to the list. So it's going to add it down here. Okay, so as you can see, you can kind of go through each one of these and see what they say. Alter assignments, this is going to be like, let's see, test given by a special ed teacher. We're going to add to the list. Okay, now let's say there's a accommodation on here that you can't find, or that it's maybe not on the list. We can always add the custom. So just make sure it's kind of under what you think the heading would be. So maybe adapt here, add custom, and they're going to get a copy of class notes. So I'm going to type that in, copy of class notes. I'm going to add custom, and it's going to add it down here. So if I just add these down here and I don't check any of these boxes, whenever your diagnostician goes to print the paperwork, these will not show up. You have to click each subject that the student needs that in. So there's an all button that will check all of them. All right, so maybe you check all of them and we don't need it in electives or PE. Or I can go through here and say, okay, I need this in reading and math, but I don't need it in any other classes. Okay, I might only need that for reading. So you need to make sure that you have the subjects selected, or it will not print when it comes time to print the student's IEP. And so you can kind of search through these lists and figure out where things are beforehand, or you can kind of just type in the accommodations that each student needs. So the next area that we're going to look at is our STAR. So let's go, it's going to be on screen 18, eStar state assessments. Okay. So the current year, if this is the current year, let's say we are in 2021. Okay, so if this student is a third grader, they're going to take the STAR in reading and math. So when you click on this, you can see there's only so many selections. There's the STAR, STAR Alt 2, STAR Alt 2 medical exemption, STAR Alt 2 no authentic response, and the STAR Spanish. And so for most of our kiddos, it's just going to be STAR. So you're going to make sure to put in for whatever subjects they're taking. Okay, so STAR for reading and math. As a third grader next year for 21-22, they're going to be a fourth grader. So they would take the STAR in reading, math, and writing. So you'd need to make sure to fill that out. If you're high school, then you would not fill out this top part. You would fill out the bottom, the EOCs, but it works very similar. So if it's, the kids are freshmen and they're in Algebra 1, they're going to take STAR for Algebra 1, Biology, English 1. And then next year as a sophomore, they probably will only take it for English 2. So we're going to put STAR there. So you can kind of see how you need to fill that out. And if we hit the next button, it's going to take us to the STAR accommodations, right? So the STAR accommodations, if we hit add accommodations right here, it's going to add the accommodations, and you're going to have a list of these accommodations. And so let's just say that the student needs highlighters for reading and math. And let's say that the student needs small group for reading and math. And then let's say we might need oral admin. So I know a lot of you last year, the online, the STAR online, the STAR, we don't specify which one they're taking. We allow the accommodations to drive which assessment they're taking. And so a big difference in that is the oral admin. So if we have oral admin, you can see here there's an oral admin paper version. And so if you think that somebody reading to them in person, that's what you would choose. And then you have the oral admin online version. So let's say that this student, we're going to do oral admin online. And so we're going to do reading. So we're going to select the reading. And then we're also going to do math. So we're going to come up here. We're going to select math. So when we're done adding all the accommodations that we want to, we're going to hit this add all button. And you can see it right here. Once you add all, you have to hit this return button to go back to the STAR accommodations page. And you can see the STAR assessments there. You can edit it. If you see that you forgot one, you can always click back on this and go back and add it, and then hit that return button once you've added it. All right, so this page right here, just quick thing right here. If a student has an accommodation for STAR, but they do not have it as a daily accommodation, that cannot be. So you, as the teacher, need to make sure what you're recommending for the STAR that they are doing as an accommodation in the classroom as well. This right here, if you have questions about, well, who qualifies for what on the state assessment, this right here, if you click it, it's going to take you to the TEA's website for the STAR accommodations, and it's going to give you all the accommodations. And if you click on each of these, for example, calculation aids, if you click on calculation aids, it's going to show you who's eligible, who meets the criteria, what that criteria looks like. And so if you have a student that's in third grade and you think that they need a calculator, you can look here and say, no, third graders can't have calculators, only under these circumstances. So if your student does not meet these two criteria, then they are not eligible for a calculator on the STAR assessment. So that's something helpful there for you. Transition. And so if we go back to screen number 9, the development of the IEP and transition, you're going to notice at the bottom here is the transition right under the PLAAFP. Transition are only for those students who will turn 14 years old during the current IEP year. So typically, if you're 13 and up, we will do transition every year. So if you do not have students that are 13 up, then you would not be responsible for the transition. Sometimes this can fall in elementaries where 6th grade is in the elementary because we have some students that might be held back. So just be aware if you have students that are 13, make sure to talk to your diagnostician, or they would talk to you about completing that transition. And so if you click on this blue arrow right here, transition service number 1, it's going to take you here. And this is kind of already filled out and kind of some verbiage, which you will get a handout on of kind of what to do and what to say, and more detail on really how to sit down and gather this information will be provided later. But all of these have to be filled in. So the student was invited to the meeting. So yes, they're going to be invited to the meeting. That's going to be your diagnostician's job to make sure they're invited to the meeting. Did the student attend the meeting? Hopefully it's going to be yes. If it is a no, then we have to put something here to explain. And so some possible verbiage that we can put in there. Maybe the student was absent that day. Maybe they were in athletics and they were down at the football fields and they couldn't get there. You know, there could be reasons why they did not attend. So you just need to make sure to explain it in that box. Okay, so completed age appropriate transition assessments. Again, we will go over that information with you at a different time, but all these things should be included: parent input, student input, and teacher input. Informal assessments is, so we're going to click both of those and make sure that we include those things. Training, this is your post-secondary goal. So if you hit this add select button, it's going to bring up some ideas for you to put in some words that you can use here. On all of these, we need to make sure that there is a training and an employment. So we're going to talk about upon completion of graduation, what's the student going to do? Are they going to go to college? Are they going to go into the military? Are they going to receive on-the-job training to do what? And so here are some just examples for you to follow as you meet with students and gather that information. But within this, it needs to have a training and education piece as well as an employment piece. Independent living skills. So you need to put something here. Most of your students will demonstrate age appropriate independent living skills. If you have a student that is taking the STAR Alt 2, just by virtue of being able to take STAR Alt 2, their independent living skills are not age appropriate. And so that something should be said about that and addressed here in this box. So if you are doing an annual ARD on a student that's taking the STAR Alt 2, it should not say age appropriate independent living skills in this section. Okay, so our strengths, you're just gonna list the strengths. So some of the forms that you will have filled out for the teachers will allow them to have some strengths, maybe some needs that they have. You're gonna put some of that there. And then some of their interest preferences. So what do they like to do? Okay, so at least one of the strengths or one of the preferences or interests should be tied back to their goal. So what it is they want to do when they graduate. So if they want to be a mechanic, maybe they enjoy working with their hands. So you're going to make sure that they, that you put something that would lend it to go along with that goal that you wrote. Okay, transition services here. You're going to put something here. So the ARC committee determines that the student's individualized plan is their personal graduation plan. So there's some possible verbiage there. You're going to make sure that this box here is always checked. Their instruction, this is going to look different for each student. You're going to tell me though, what do they read? They receive content mastery. Are they in resource math? Are they, on alternative curriculum? Do they have, in-class support? You're going to tell me what are the services for that kid looks like. So it should be updated each year and you shouldn't say the same because things do change each year. Okay. Related service, instructional services, again here, if they have some related services such as speech, counseling, occupational, if not, then you would put the student does not receive any related services at this time. Okay, so there's 2 screens. So we're gonna hit the next button and go to transition services screen 2. Okay, and for the most part here, functional vocational evaluation not needed at this time. If it is, then that would be a discussion that our transition specialist or diagnostician would probably have with you, but for the most part, all of our kids, that should be selected there. Work behavior needs. So, none at this time, or maybe there are some that you think they need. So you could write that down there. We don't leave this blank, so you just put none at this time if they don't have any. Okay, community service does not need or does, and so you can kind of put that what they need. Okay, maybe they need family support this time, maybe for some of your lower functioning kiddos. You can do that. So, and then daily living skills. Okay, so if none are needed, you're going to click here. If it's a student taking a STAR Alt 2 assessment, this should not be clicked, and you should have something written in here. So if none is needed, then just check the none needed box. If they are STAR Alt 2 student, you should make sure to put some daily living skills that they're working on there. All right, and then these next boxes here. So this should always say yes, and we're gonna kind of put in student little verbiage there that you can look at. Okay, is the student 18? Okay, so this one is interesting. If the student is 18, you're gonna say yes, but you're never gonna say no to this one. It's either student is 18 at this time or the student is not 18 at this time. So if the student is 18, you're gonna click yes. If they're not 18, you're gonna put NA. Never select no. Okay, does the ARD committee believe circumstance exists to refer student parents to government agency? So this one is either yes or no. We should never mark the NA button. And here's some possible verbiage that you could put there. So again, this one is a yes or a no, but never an NA, okay? All right, and then this next one, was the agency invited? It should be yes or NA, never no. So you have some verbiage there you could put in. So it's a yes, we're gonna put NA, okay? And this one right here, it's either a yes or NA. An agency did not participate, or the previous item was marked as NA. So we would put NA. And then these two boxes need to be checked, and then we need to make sure we're putting information in here. The student, what did you do with the student prior to the ARD? You're going to discuss that you met with that student and you went over some things, and then some information that's been provided to that student. We are going to provide that there as well. And so you would need to make sure if your student is 13 or above that you fill out this transition services each year on that. The final thing we're going to talk about is progress. So we're going to go back to our light bulb and we're going to progress reports, and it's going to bring up our students, okay? So now we're going to do progress. So we do progress quarterly, so that's 4 times a year. And then you also do progress anytime you have an annual ARD. When you do the progress at an annual ARD, you're responsible for archiving it, as well as printing out 2 copies and bringing to the ARD with you. So we're going to talk about how to do progress. So again, we hit the light bulb and then hit progress reports, and it's going to bring up that student. This is where we want to go into the active, because we're reporting on the progress of their current goals. So this is going to be in the active. So we're going to click on Mickey Mouse Active. Here's our FERPA, and I'm updating the student's progress. So I'm going to click that one. All right. And then I'm going to click on number 2, student IEP progress goals. You're going to see both of your goals here. And then on this one, you're going to start at number 1, and we need to put the date. So if the date of the ARD, like we said, was June the 14th, that's the date our progress needs to be. You would fill this out prior to that date, but you need to go ahead and put that date on there, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit edit. When I hit edit, I need to make sure that this information is filled out. So I need to make sure that teacher, special ed teacher, whatever your name is, put it there, your position. You're going to be a special ed teacher. Okay, this should be marked quarterly. And you don't need to do anything with these dates here, so don't mess with these dates, okay? So we have June the 14th here. We're going to say we mastered our goal. Okay, so, or if we did 3 out of 4 times, then we are at three correct. And then this question right here, is the progress sufficient at this time for the student to achieve the goal by the end of the year or the IEP date, whichever is appropriate? So we're going to say yes, because we mastered our goal 3 out of 5 times. No action needed. And then on this one, you have to type in some comment. So you would type in about progress. We talk about, we don't want to put, oh, Mickey Mouse was a great kid, he tries hard. Talk about the progress towards that goal, directly tied to that goal. So you're just going to want to go ahead. I'm just going to put some letters so we have something in there. You're going to type something in there and you're going to see it comes up with a little box here. Okay. And so then I'm going to hit done and it should save it. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing for this next one. So special ed teacher, I'm a special ed teacher. Once you put these in there, they will be in there for the next time you do progress. So, okay, so this is 3 out of 5 trials. So I'm 3 out of 5. Yes, none's going to be needed. And I'm going to make a little comment. Okay. Save it. So let's say we're going to hit done. We're done there. Okay. So now let's talk about how to print them out and how to archive them for your annual art. So if you go to reports right here, you're going to hit report. And okay, so we're going to hit the reports. And this is going to pop up. Okay. So if you look right here, you're going to see data collection for goals and IEP progress goals. You're going to click on the IEP progress goals. If you double click it, it's going to make a progress report for you. Okay. So once it's done, you can hit view and you're going to see progress that we just filled out. Okay, so you can print 2 copies of this to your computer. Once you printed 2 copies and you have them to bring to the ARD, then you can archive it. So to archive this, you're going to go back up here to where it says list reports. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to go to number 5, archive reports, and click on archive reports. Okay, type of archive, this is going to be progress reports, and the folder is going to be progress reports. So progress reports and progress reports, you need to make sure you put that in. And then I'm going to click this archive button. Okay. So where did it go? So now if I go back over here and I click list archived reports, you can see that right here under progress reports, I have Mickey Mouse IEP progress goals. So that is where it's at. So once you come to an annual ARD, you're responsible for not only filling out the progress, but also archiving and bringing 2 copies. You will also have to do progress other times throughout the year, but you do not have to send them out or archive them. And so you would fill out the archive the same way. So let's say, or I'm sorry, you would fill out progress the same way. So let's say that, you know, our next progress is going to be due by October the 29th. So I would put in the date that it's due and make sure that that radio button is selected by that date. And I'm going to hit this edit button again. And you can see now I have my previous and I have my new. So I'm still maybe at 3. Yes, I'm going to meet. If for some reason this student is not making progress on the goal and you don't think they're going to meet progress before the end of the IEP year, then you need to talk to your diagnostician. And you need to tell me what further actions are we going to have a staffing? Are you going to have an ARD? Are we going to have a conference? More than likely, I would go ahead and say conference with your diagnostician, and you guys can talk about that. And then you're going to, again, you have to put in something that talks about progress or what the child's doing, what the student's doing, what they're not doing. Why are they not making progress? List something there and hit done. And so you're going to have to do that progress every 9 weeks, and then also at the annual ARD, you'll have to make sure to have that progress done.